It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
TB and VH, another episode of Cats Talk Wednesday. This Wednesday evening, like Ben said in the intro, we focus on the Cats. It's the center of the show, and for y'all to know we disagree on everything else because we oil and water on all the other stuff. And Kentucky is kind of the nucleus. I'm Vinny Hardy. This is Terry TV Brown. TV man, how you doing? What's been going on with you lately?
Man, it's been a whirlwind since our last show. We put our house up for sale, got a contract offer on it, found a new house, got the offer agreed to just yesterday. So we're shooting for a closing the first part of July on both properties, and things is moving pretty crazy, man.
Man, like you barely even said what y'all was gonna do, and like both.
Yeah, it was crazy. The first people that came through our house here at 2:30, and by 4:15 roughly we had two offers. By 5 we had 3, and so it was pretty crazy. So we're doing well.
Well, congratulations on all that and happy closings. You just did that leaving Louisville, and now got up to the DM and doing the same thing up there, and just hope it all goes smooth and you can unpack before you know it. You'll be unpacking for real.
I still haven't fully unpacked from Louisville, so we stopped back and reflected because it's our 7-month wedding anniversary on Monday, 23rd, and so in the last 7 months, I sold my condo, I moved, got a job, she got a new job, sold this house, got a new house. And this Saturday, my stepson is graduating high school. So we have taken a whole lot of things and condensed it down. And I just want to get to the point where we can just hang out. Because like I said, I did not fully unbox a lot of my stuff. Clothes and stuff I did, but a lot of my knickknacks and things of that nature, I did not. So I'm just ready to get that out.
Then you can just exhale and just for a minute, after all that, you can just exhale for a little bit.
Yeah, we just want to chill. And I'm going to have opportunity. For those that don't know, I own a lot of hats. At last count, 125 hats, caps, whatever you want to say, but I'll be able to spread those out. And I'm going to have a specific storage device just for the socks. I've never counted the socks, but right now my socks are 3 full drawers and a dresser. So
sock game greater than sign hat game. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, the sock game. Yeah, hats are pretty pricey. Even though I get a discount at Lids because I'm Hat World. If you remember Hat World from way back in the day, Passport Club member. Great plan. You paid like $20 to join, but you get 25% off every hat forever.
That is, yeah.
And so I did the math on that, and I might have saved $1,000+. Yeah,
easy. You know you did.
But looking forward to it. It's checked off a lot of our boxes. We're kind of out in the country, moving to a suburb of Des Moines, in Norwalk, Iowa, and you're like, Norwalk, Iowa. The boyhood home of Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa. He was born in Hawaii, but he was raised in Norwalk, Iowa, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah. Aquaman is from Iowa. With all the oceanfront property here, the king of the seas is from about as far away from the ocean as you can get. But anyway, it's great. It's great. It's going good. We put a lot of work into this. The wife has been fantastic. So we're excited, man. Mama B is excited. I did a walkthrough with her on the FaceTime. She's already pointed out when she comes what she wants to do in the kitchen. And I said, Mama, ain't nothing wrong with that. You come do some cooking. Hey, we all about it. But no, life is good, man. It's been hectic. It's been crazy, but it's good.
That's good, man. Good stuff. Congratulations to everything that's been happening. It's a whirlwind, but it's a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, congratulations to you and Kate. Our cats, you tweet it all the time. We try to convey it on this show. Everything as far as, not just basketball and football, but all the other sports that don't get as much shine, but they are doing their thing. They are having success. More of the same today, more of the same over the past few days with men's tennis and baseball and track. And so we have to get into all of that.
Absolutely.
Still got the conference finals going on. Our homie, the young fella is hopping on here with us in a few minutes, Angelo Carriero. And sometimes he tries to go at us on some NBA, tries to hit us with some analytics, and we have some little fun on Twitter with him. He already tweeting out, come on and check us out because I'm going to be on here bickering with Vinny and TB. So we'll have Angelo here in a few minutes. This young fella covers high school, covers the Cats, goes deep on the draft. He's at ESPN Radio in Lexington. He's doing his thing still right there in Lex. So we're going to have some fun with Angelo here in a few minutes as well. Baseball, we was talking about him last week, and they lived to fight another day. Literally just a few minutes ago,
yeah,
Auburn in the SEC tournament, single elimination. If they lost, that was it. They moved to the next round. You can't let your guard down. It's double elimination, though. You at least got to lose 2 before you go. Play LSU tomorrow. They just finished beating up on Auburn in Lexington. Come down to Hoover and beat them again.
Yeah, congrats to the Batcats. Again, this has been their MO. They've played well against the great teams. When you look at who they've beaten, it's the elite of the elite. So with that knowledge, you can't be surprised that they can go on a little run down there in Hoover at the SEC tournament. I know there's a lot of baseball left to be played, but giving up the home run late to tie the game against Auburn today, and then answering with back-to-back jacks in the top of the ninth, that's how you get it done. So as we always say, the Cats are competitive across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Cal and his team, Coach Stoops and his team get most of the oxygen. But as I always say, if you only pay attention to those 2 sports, you're really missing out on not just great student athlete, but really competitive teams as well. So as you said, tennis, the men's tennis team came in second to Ohio State. No shame in that.
Virginia beat the Buckeyes.
Beat the Buckeyes. Lost to Virginia. You're right. I'm sorry. You know how I get as I get older. But it's tough to keep up with all of it.
Yeah. It really is.
Folks want to, and it's good to focus in on recruiting and this kind of stuff. But we've got teams still competing for championships, winning hardware. You talked about the women's track team setting U.S. records and that kind of thing. So I know Mitch Barnhart gets a lot of slack, or gets a lot of flack, I should say, from folks. But his job is athletics director, not just basketball and football. And when you look across the board at teams that have been really competitive over the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, this is why we're a top 12, top 13 program in the Directors Cup. Year in, year out.
Even with basketball slipping up a little bit and having a season where you don't even make the tournament one year, first round this coming year, they're still going to be in, top 15, top 10 in the Directors Cup, like you said. And the past couple of March Madnesses for basketball haven't been what we've been accustomed to, but we saw volleyball make a spring push and win a title. And we just jumped we were in March Madness mode watching them, even though we didn't know the game as much as we do basketball. We were still that nervousness because it's survive and advance, win or go home. Same thing with men's tennis. They beat TCU, the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
They beat Ohio State, which was an upset as well. Tennessee made the Final Four too, and they didn't get to the championship. They lost to Virginia. Virginia beat Florida. So the SEC is strong in tennis. Florida is who beat Kentucky in the SEC tournament. So a lot of SEC teams were along the way. Kentucky gets all the way to the first Final Four in their history, first championship game in their history. Came up a little bit short against Virginia, but again, Coach Cedric Kaufman used to play for the Cats, and Mitch Barnhart hired him. You mentioned he gets a lot of grief for the checkerboards, mostly, and for the alcohol sales in Kroger Field or whatever that's going to play out. But all of these hires, all of these facilities, all of these teams that are so much better now than when he first came on the scene across the board. We see him jumping in a pool for swimming and diving when they win a title. We see him at all, he's going on, he gets his freaking flyer miles just going to every different tournament event because
every championship the Cats are playing for, Mitch is right there. So, and that's the thing is, okay, we are getting caught up in the high level stuff, the fluff, the checkerboard pattern, which the chatter on Twitter is that's changing. So whatever,
right?
And the alcohol sales, that's chatter. What is his job? To support student athletes and the coaches and to get the University of Kentucky teams across the board to compete for championships. Yeah. That's been the mantra. That's what he has said. And when you start rattling off the type of seasons a lot of these teams have had, it's hard to argue that the key component of his job hasn't been done. And especially doing it with a balanced budget, up until COVID. That to me is the biggest thing. Is Kentucky's doing it, and the athletic department's not taking any money away from the school. In fact, it gives back. And a lot of people kind of shrug their shoulders, but you could probably count on one hand the amount of athletic departments that are able to do that. There's no student fees that go toward that. There's nothing that supports the athletic department. So that to me is a big deal. And to do it and to compete for championships and win championships, that's amazing because he's showing it can be done.
And he's juggling all of that. As a fans, we look at did you make a good hire for a head coach? Did you need to make a firing of a head coach? And he caught flack for a long time for Joker and Billy Gillespie. And then, you see Stoops and Cal replace those hires that didn't turn out so well. A lot of people want to focus on that. And then, like you said, the checkerboard and the alcohol. But the entire body of work for the 2 decades that he's been at UK, and when he retires, he's going to retire and still live in Kentucky because he's been there so long, it's become home to him.
Yeah.
He just got inducted. He's going to be going into the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame. We always try to run down all the inductees, and he's going in with Michael Bush from Louisville, and we're familiar with that dude.
One of the best high school players I have ever seen. The state final between him and Jeff Brom when he was at Louisville Trinity. I guess it was 5A at that point. I can't remember, but that was a shootout of shootouts. He was a tremendous talent. That leg injury really derailed what I thought could have been a solid professional career, but in high school, that dude was the truth.
He was a beast, wasn't he?
Absolutely. And way back in the day, like I tell folks, things are different now. I'm not quite sure, but Seneca's district, I went to Louisville Seneca High School. Seneca's district in football was Trinity, St. X, Manual, and Mayo when I was in school.
Trinity, St. X, Manual, Mayo, and Seneca, that was the 5. Murderer's row, as they say.
Yes. There was a stretch, we would play them 3 out of 4 weeks, and it was a wrap, dude. It was a wrap. Chris Redmond that played at U of L, played for the Ravens played for a bunch of franchises. One game my senior year, because we both came out the same year, I think Sports Illustrated ESPN came to do one of those little blurb things. Like that was Seneca's lot in life. Was we were the team that you got your highlights against.
That's how Kentucky used to be in the draft. in the NFL draft, dudes making mock pitches against us.
Right. You're that team that that people kind of get their highlights against. It's reshuffled since then a little bit, but yeah, that was a wrap, man. We had to play them in everything. It was rough.
Mm-hmm. So Michael Bush, Mitch Barnhart, Sue Feimster, who was a former athletic administrator and trailblazer for girls and women's participation in the late 60s. So she kind of had Title IX and things like that going. Dallas Thornton, who played basketball at Mayo, Kentucky Wesleyan, and the Harlem Globetrotters in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So that's who Mitch Barnhart's going into the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame with. So congratulations to all those folks.
Absolutely. And Mitch, his administrative tree, we talk about coaching trees, particularly in football. He's got 3 or 4 ADs that were on his staff, and he's been recognized as being the best of the best. And it always comes down to, Mitch, the checkerboard, the alcohol, and folks always bring up Joker and the Billy Gillispie hire.
Yeah.
And for my money, the Joker hire, I will say, to my dying day, made sense at the time.
Yep.
He's the offensive coordinator during those Rich Brooks years when the offense was great.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you cannot risk letting Joker Phillips, your offensive coordinator, go somewhere else and be that dude. Right. You've got to roll the dice. And so I understood that. There was always defensible. Now, obviously, it didn't work out. But at the time, and even in retrospect, you could look back and say that hire made sense.
They'd have killed him if he'd have let Joker walk. He'd have got crushed.
If Joker would end up at, I don't know, Iowa State or whatever, and was getting 8-9 win seasons, that would have been rough. So I understood it at the time, and it was a tough decision, just because we know how Joker is intertwined with Kentucky athletics, playing, coaching, love the university. It was tough. Mm-hmm. The first football game I covered was his last home game, and it was tough.
The Vanderbilt game?
No, it wasn't Vanderbilt. It was
still playing
not Stanford, but Sanford.
Oh, okay.
Because the whole time I'm tweeting out about Stanford, and somebody's like, "It's Sanford." Okay, yeah. I've had that happen a few times. Like, I've got my directional Michigan schools mixed up while tweeting. But anyway, and you could just tell that it was very emotional for him. And it was not a fun thing to do, but obviously it was a step in the right direction. The Billy Gillispie hire, look, I mean, everybody gets one, right? You get one bad hire. It was a situation where at the time, I've said repeatedly that nothing humbles a fan base more than a coaching search. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks their job is the job that dudes will just run toward, right? They will just Carl Lewis toward it. And it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the Kentucky basketball job is the best job in college basketball. But being the best, to me, it's the hardest.
Yep.
So if you are a comfortable coach, what's the incentive to move?
Yep.
So with the Billy Gillispie thing, I think Tubby, yeah. I think Tubby leaving kind of left folks flat-footed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go to 2 or 3 guys, they say no. Now you're scrambling. Now it's okay. What do we do? Our top 2 or 3 said no. What do we do? And Billy Gillispie, he was the flavor of the week.
Oh. Beat Louisville
in Rupp. So there you go. And so that one made less sense than Joker. But would it be indefensible? I don't think so. Because at that stage, who are you going to end up with?
Yeah.
Right now, the course correction was great.
Mm-hmm.
Moving off of him in 2 years,
Yeah.
that's a decision that a lot of places wouldn't make. I remember, folks, there was a little flack for Kentucky because of that.
Because if you
You
want
to give him more.
If he wanted to be stubborn, Mitch could have been, well, I'm gonna stick with my hire and ride it out, supposedly, as Billy drives the program into the ground. And
Right. But moving off Gillespie, because if you'd have looked at that roster we were having coming back, had he stayed, Patterson would have been gone. No Wall, Cousins, Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Great dudes. We might not have had a bunch of great dudes coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people realize just the state of the program before Cal got here. It was teetering on that edge of going completely off the rails.
Yeah.
And it's like I tell you all the time when, watching Winning Time on the Lakers, again, it's fictionalized to a point, but that thing could have gone a different way, and that was that moment for Kentucky. Like, okay, this dude didn't work. We have got to kill this.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it didn't work and his exploits are legendary, he was still co-SEC Coach of the Year.
It's true.
So every single coach, going back to Adolph Rupp, has been Conference Coach of the Year at Kentucky. That's a pretty good track record.
It is. It really is. We are brought to you visually by the BS3 Network. You can see us on Roku. Go to BS3 Live TV, and you can click the link, click on demand. All the episodes are there. Scroll down and go to Underneath Sports, and you'll see us there. We got about 10 episodes that you can just rotate through, and this one will be added up very shortly. BS3TVLive.com. And from the network too, this from Mama Sutter, who was right there with being the views expressed by the host or the guest do not represent the BS3 network. So just want to put that disclaimer in there as well. Does not reflect the network or its representatives. So what you hear is me, what you hear is TB, what you hear from Angelo will be from Angelo. But we're proud to be brought to you by BS3 TV. And you can listen also on Anchor and Spreaker and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And speaking of our guest, he just popped up in the green room backstage, here to bicker with us, here to talk sports with us, here to chop it up with us. The young fella, you can listen to him, ESPN Radio in Lexington, 92.5 FM in Lexington, 96.1 The Zone. He does high school sports. He goes deep on the draft. He loves to bicker with us on the NBA. We always have fun with this young fella. He moved his stuff around with his schedule to even hop on with us right now. We're talking about our guy, Angelo Carriero. Angelo Carriero! What's up, man?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? That's going all right, man. I know we've had a good, man. Good.
My bad. I cut you off. I stepped on you.
No, I think I'm sorry. I think I might be lagging a little bit. Let me try to fix.
Uh-oh.
Froze up. We get him right back though. And TB, I think he's a Packers fan too, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to ask him about that when he comes back.
Yeah, we've had some back and forth, because
you flexing on both of us, but still,
Yeah, he's a Packers fan. We've had some good natured back and forth. There's a lot of Packers fans in the Big Blue Nation, and it is fun that Aaron Rodgers can't be the 49ers, but he does have that Super Bowl, which my team doesn't have in quite some time. So it's good natured. I love everybody. So welcome, Angelo. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Well, thank you so much. Yes, I'm glad to be on. It's not even like I don't even have beef with the 49ers. How can a Packers fan, with how successful that your team has been against us? But it's the Aaron Rodgers slander that I must combat at every turn. Not my guy. Not my guy.
Well, but my thing is, it's not even slander. To me, it's just humorous. It's just one of those things. It's a quinky dink, like, come on, man. I know you saw. Let's talk a little NFL since we're here.
Okay.
Kind of where are you being a Packers fan? How are you feeling heading into this season, post draft, post everything? Because as a 49ers fan, I'm like, well, we'll just see what happens. But as a Packers fan, with Aaron Rodgers being kind of on that other side, how are you feeling heading into the 2022 season?
Well, I'm actually feeling okay about it because the Devontae Adams loss is something that's just the unknown variable of the whole thing. Because Green Bay obviously decided to patchwork the wide receiver core again. One of those big. I mean, like, okay, I hope Sammy Watkins works out. I've always liked Sammy Watkins. I hope Christian Watson works out. He seems like a guy from a height, weight, speed standpoint that could turn into a superstar, but you don't know. You look at, they got Romeo Dubs, they got all these guys and everything like that, but you didn't really get anybody that you know is going to come in and be that changer on offense at wide receiver. So then you try to reinvest in defense with re-signing Campbell, you re-sign Rasul Douglas, you get Preston Smith back on the contract, you get Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt in the draft. So you try to – it's kind of like what Kansas City did. You trade away Tyreek Hill, and what do? You get stronger on defense because you're not going to replace that guy. And Green Bay knew they weren't going to replace Devontae Adams with anybody real, like a real guy. So you try to get better on defense. So, press the other team's points down since you're not going to be able to, particularly boost yours up.
Right, and that's the trade-off when it comes to the NFL is you give up something on one side, you've got to make up for it on the other. And as a 49ers fan, I know that because our defense is great and the offense has not been there. So that is the mantra that we've lived by with the Jimmy G years. Like, we're going to get next to nothing on that side of the ball. So we've got to be the 2000 Ravens on defense to balance that out. Hey, Vinny, I've been honest about Jimmy G from day one. That dude, great teammate, but he ain't that dude. And I've never said, and I get a lot of Packers fans, are you saying Jimmy G's better? Absolutely not. The one game, he beat the 49ers one. He threw 8 passes and none in the second half. That ain't that dude. And the second one, it was because of the block kick and all that. So I am not saying G's better. I'm just saying he's 2-0.
Here's the thing. Okay, when you say that about Colin Kaepernick, I can accept that because Colin Kaepernick whooped Green Bay's hind end for about 180 rushing yards and did like a 200 game. At least then I could be like, all right, well, that's that dude. How are you gonna stop him? Jimmy Garoppolo, on the other hand, nah, man. Like that's one thing that like I can handle losing to the 49ers. But when the best play Jimmy Garoppolo made that entire game last year was when he threw the football so bad that George Kittle didn't have that legal catch, or else he would have fumbled it and the Packers would have gotten the ball back. I mean, when that's your best pass of the game because it was that bad, man, get out of here. I couldn't do it.
I'm telling you, Jimmy G ain't that dude, but
And he sent us home too, Angelo, before he sent y'all home. So the team he plays for sent us home before he sent y'all home. Let me clarify that.
Oh man, how did we get off so bad on that, man?
All right.
What is in that 49ers DNA, man? I can't do it. I hate to say thank goodness for the Rams, but I mean, like, thank goodness. I'm sorry, Terry. I know for you, I wish they would have won, but that was rough.
For Jimmy G to be in a Super Bowl and be within 3 points of another one, that just shows how good everything else was going in San Francisco. That to me just showed like they were just firing on everything else. And if we had just an average quarterback, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Big curtains. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna be heading to that tundra. The Cowboys come up there in November. I think me and my buddy are gonna run up there for that game. Go get my first trip to Packerland, Angelo. And
Vinny, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself, man. Like, here's the thing. It's like, look, I'm probably the least Cowboys hater you'll ever meet. Like, I'm actually like, it's awesome the Cowboys are in the NFL. I'm glad they're a football team. But at the same time, it's because I think the last 2 times that the Packers and Cowboys met, like we ended Tony Romo and Des Bryant, DeMarco Murray. You know, we got rid of them. Des did not catch it. Well, he did, but you know, he didn't catch it. And then you
It's
had
fire night,
Dak
folks.
and Zeke. You know, they were on their roll, and then Green Bay beat them, and I think they did beat Seattle that one year. Like, so they have had a playoff win since, but you know, it's kind of like that where the Niners own the Packers. I had to say it because it's true. You know, the Packers own the Cowboys, you know, but so I would say if you're going, just make sure to wear warm clothes and bring tissues because you're going to be crying after the game. That's all.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's bring that high heat to Cheeseland. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it's November. It might not be super frigid, but then again,
we'll see.
Looking forward to that, man. Just tell us everything you do. I know, but you got the high school stuff going, which will be kicking up before we know it, and then we'll get on these cats too. We'll talk about our cats too. But what are you going to be doing on the high school front?
High school front, it's just everything should be status quo. Doing a game every Friday night. I'm hoping that we haven't had any meetings yet of it, but I'm hoping to get back because last year was our first year working with ABC, putting high school football on television every Friday night. And I got to give a shout out to Brian Kennedy, who works out in St. Louis now. But when he was the sports program director of ABC 36, he brought the Varsity Game Night crew on to broadcast high school football here on Friday nights. So we would have a game of the week every Friday. It was localized at first because we were dual streaming it. We were doing it on Lexington radio while also doing it for statewide television. I think there is a path to attempt or try to do both to where we could keep it local, but if there's a huge game out in Eastern Kentucky and we could put the game all over the TVs out, you know, in Pike County, you know, we want to do that. Or if we want to go to Somerset and Bowling Green or go out, you know, I'm not even gonna lie, I wouldn't mind doing Louisville all that much because the football there is so phenomenal. Is just to go to different parts of the states, which was kind of the goal that we were trying to get to towards the end of the year. But that is pretty much what I'm hoping to do again this year. It'll be my fourth year. Maybe my third is play-by-play. It'll be my fifth year with the program in general. I've been in Lexington radio now half a decade, as hard as that may be to believe. I've been here. April was my fifth year. So it's been fun becoming head of the program and scheduling and getting to know the kids and the coaches and really trying to push high school football players out there because, you know, we didn't have that when I was younger, but to be honest, the state wasn't that good when I was younger. And now the state is, I mean, it's big. Did you all see the news with Cutter Boley today?
The kid from transferring to Lexington.
Transferring to Lexington Christian. This kid is on some short lists as the top 5 quarterbacks in his class in the entire nation. He's already 6'5", big arm. You know, that prototype quarterback that you look for. He is that guy. So to get him in Lexington, that could potentially, along with Frederick Douglass, I mean, you might get a little coaching, you know, the wagons just circling Lexington and be coming through here a lot the next couple of years.
And Kentucky's already offered him, right?
I'm not sure what his offer list is. That's a great question. I would hope so. I mean, you better jump on this earlier. Saban's going to be coming, and you know, let's not get started on Saban and his hypocrisy with Jimbo, and then Jimbo lighting him ablaze. I was glad to see that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. That's been the chatter in the sports world enough for Greg Sankey and the SEC to tell all coaches, knock it off. Where are you? You kind of alluded to it, but your take on the Jimbo versus Nick Saban dispute, if you call it that.
You know, it came from Nick Saban, and then priorly it came from Lane Kiffin, and I don't get it. I think the only reason that's even happening is, you know, it seems like major players don't talk crap or complain until you're down. And that's what it seems like. You even see that in like European soccer and stuff when they don't get the player they want. Oh, there's infractions and underhand dealings. It's like, well, because you lost. And you wouldn't be saying that if you would have gotten the guy. You wouldn't have been clapping back at Texas A&M either. Anyways, I've long been on pro player sides of this where if he did buy the players, well, catch up. I'm sorry, did Josh Heupel get completely blasted for getting that quarterback next year that was getting what? Was it $8 million or $3 million or
$8
something? Yeah, it was something out of this world. Some California kid wants to go to Knoxville, Tennessee to play quarterback. Like I'm with Lincoln Riley right there. Oh, I'm sure. Well, it's probably because the money talks, and we've seen that a lot. And I think that Saban, for being perched up at the top. Now, he, to me, is the greatest college football coach of all time. I think there's a lot of statistics, numbers, accolades that back that up. But you had Alabama. You were the top money place. Like, you did get whoever you want. And I'm sure that there were a lot of means that got swept under the rug to make that happen. And Texas A&M, they're one of the only schools that has more money than you. And they bought Jimbo Fisher at $90 million to bring him in to do this, what he's doing right now. So, I mean, if you want to complain and groan and everything, well, get your bread up, get your team buying those players back then.
Yeah, my interpretation is Nick got hurt because the Padawan has become, he's now getting out recruited. But I also see it as Nick Saban, he's ringing the bell to warn us. And what I mean by that is a few years ago, he got on talk about the spread offenses. And, he would rather win 9-6, which he won a lot of those championship games 9-6. And people said, oh, Saban, he's just angry because the game is passing him by. And then lo and behold, a Mac Jones and a Bryce Young later, and Alabama is quarterback wide receiver you. We went from Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry to now we got wide receivers winning Heismans and quarterbacks winning Heismans and all that kind of stuff. I understand the notion that Texas has money. They do it. The state of Texas has a bunch of money, right? But I have a tough time believing they just that they were waiting for it to be legal to spend all that money. Like it didn't just miraculously happen. I watched the SMU documentary as well. And when those dudes want to pay kids, they will do that.
Marcus
and
from Mississippi.
Right. And I understand Texas got that money and it's probably more money than Bama. But the thing about Bama, it's like Kentucky basketball. There's a lot of want to there. There's a lot of want to in Alabama to be good at football. And I'm not saying Texas doesn't want to, but it ain't Alabama want to. Like Alabama with Bear Bryant in the 60s, they got beat by Michigan State with a lot of black players on Michigan State's roster. And Bear Bryant was basically like, look, I know how y'all think, but we ain't getting beat like that again. And Alabama said, oh, you're right, coach. And they abandoned their racism so the football team could be good. And I say that because Ole Miss, if you look, Ole Miss was good and they were slow to integration and it ain't been a whole lot since. So my whole thing is Alabama's Nick Saban's just saying, if this is what you want to do, I will figure out how to do this and be better at you. And I see a lot of folks, this might be the end of Alabama, which we've been saying for 15 years. We can't say that until Alabama, there's two things. They have to go more than 2 years without playing in a college football playoff, and one graduating class needs to go through without a national championship. Until that happens, I refuse to bury Alabama because every 4-year player under Nick Saban has won a championship. That's ridiculous. So I understand people say Nick is scared. Scared of what? Like he's adapted 3 times since he's been in Alabama.
I think both of them talking out both sides of their mouth though.
Oh yeah.
Because, for all these years, Saban has been just squashing his former assistants. They've been trying to nip at his heels and been trying, never beat him. Last year he lost to not one former assistant, but 2. Lost to Jimbo and then followed up by losing to Kirby in the national championship game. So I think part of it was Maybe is he scared? No, but does he think maybe he's slipping a little bit? Because maybe. So you gotta kind of say something, gotta stir something up.
And
So
Bomani Jones. I'm sorry, Vinny.
Oh yeah, and from Jimbo's standpoint, yeah, he's fiery. He's a hothead. He's a don't take no miss kind of guy, or he likes to fly out the handle or whatever. But you were with this dude from 2000 to 2004 at LSU. If it was such hell, why'd you stay that long? If it was so deplorable, why'd you stay that long? Did it really take you that long to learn how not to do it? Because Bobby Bowden taught you how to do it. Coach was Saban to learn how not to do it. You stayed that long? That apprenticeship took that long to get your master's in learning how not to do it? You could have moved on sooner than that if you wanted to. But so they both think they slick and they ain't. Is the way I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially, wasn't Dabo not a Saban assistant? Was he not at Alabama before he went to Clemson and went up that? And then, he lost to Clemson twice. I do know that he at least started out at Bama and went to Clemson. Maybe it was that Saban first year that kind of transitioned, but he still lost to at least someone that was from Alabama. So I definitely see when you start losing and you start getting sensitive about it. But I do agree with you. I think it's more petty than anything. Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Where was Nick Saban when he said this? Most of the time, college football coaches, especially if it's the off season and somebody said something, where are they saying it at? It's booster. It's booster events. It's these Rotary clubs where you are preaching to your congregation. Okay. And Nick Saban was preaching to the Alabama folks in that room. Look, they cheated, and he said what he said, but we are going to be okay. And then Jimbo came out and said that press conference wasn't for us. It wasn't for anybody else. It was to the people of A&M. I got you. Saban want to fight. I'm gonna fight him. We gonna win. You see, and because all those Spurrier comments in the offseason, he was going around the state of Florida talking about free shoes, and you can't spell Citrus Bowl without UT. Like that's what happened in the offseason. You go to these clubs and you get fired up. So it's a whole bunch of chatter. Nothing really changes.
I saw a photo that came out about something Spurrier said a long time ago, and he said it said Spurrier was distraught when he found out that some books got burned at the Auburn Library. He said half of them haven't even been colored yet.
Yes. Spurrier was the best.
He was, man.
Dog, you can't talk about how good the punter was. Like Spurrier was the dude. That's who we miss. The old ball coach is who we miss. And I like this back and forth because you don't get it that much. Mm-hmm. A lot of these coaches nowadays, this is me, Angelo, put my old man hat on.
Okay.
They're friendly. They say the right things. I like coaches that don't like each other. Like I enjoy that. Like that they're going to run up the score if they can on you. Like give me that. Like give me some friction. Because like I said, you could tell Steve Spurrier loved putting it to Florida State. Loved it. Loved being beating Peyton Manning's brains in like that. Give me that. That's what makes college football and college sports more exciting. Don't get me, well, we're kind of – no, I don't want it. I didn't like it when Rick Pitino and Coach Cal were trying to be – y'all don't like each other. What are we doing this for? Bash each other's brains in. Run up the score. Like, that's what we want as fans.
I 100% agree. The problem is, too, is that when people become honest, then everybody gets upset. So then it has to withdraw. Even like for an example, guess who everyone loved before this playoffs? Ja Morant, because everybody loved it when Ja smiled and dunked. It was when he grittied and dunked and talked trash that everybody was like, "Oh well, I used to like Ja Morant, now I don't." And it's like, "Oh, why?" Because he was showing some attitude, he was showing some personality, he was showing you who he was, and you rejected him. Oh, what's supposed to do? So at the press conference, he can say, "Yeah, we just want to win the series." Oh, we just want – no, he hated the Warriors. The Warriors hated him, and he was going at him. And that's what it was. And it's like, oh, maybe we'll get those old 80s rivalries if we can actually hate each other like that.
Exactly. Say you don't like those dudes. I mean, there's nothing – to me, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't like them. I think that's fair game. that adds to it. But this corporate speak that we kind of, as you're saying, Angelo, we force our athletes and coaches to be into, like, just say you don't like them. You know, I miss that aspect of, again, putting my old man hat on. I just miss that. Like, just say, I don't like those dudes.
Yep.
To me, that makes it even better.
Yes, that's true.
I'm with you. Like 100%. I love rivalries. I love rivalries, and you don't get them because everything's so boring. That's why everybody hated the NBA in the early 2010s. It's like, oh, we don't like it because everybody's friends. Well, now you don't like it because they're annoying. You don't like college football because the coaches are going at each other, when really it's so milquetoast anyways. Like, yeah, I love SEC rivalries because, you know, it's like this state versus this state, you know, culture, blah, blah, blah. Who cares anymore? Because nobody's from anywhere. You know, there ain't no ties to it. So at least it makes me want to watch Alabama, Texas A&M a little bit more.
Oh yeah,
around next year.
That's SEC game of the week. I don't care what records are. That's got to be your primetime 3:30. I know it's no longer Uncle Vern, but that's got to be that game of the week, right? That's a no-brainer, right? That's got to be game day's got to be there. It has to be that game.
And when they ask him about it the Monday before the game, Nick Saban's first presser, he's gonna get pissed about. Stop asking me about that. Even though he's the one who started off, he's gonna get hot and go off on some, you know, Birmingham reporter for trying to, well, you know, your comments over the summer about Texas A&M. He's gonna be pissed. He's the one that did it. You watch. He's gonna snap on somebody for something he did.
He always does.
and Angelo, you're right. What made the '80s great, you know, when I was growing up, Vinny and I were growing up, especially like in the NBA and in other sports, you had teams that honestly didn't like each other. The fans didn't like each other. And, you know, even if your teams were sub 500, that game was still must watch. You know, like Vinny's Cowboys versus, well, any's team in the NFC East. I love that hatred, you know. But Niners, Cowboys, those teams didn't like each other. Yeah. The coaches didn't like each other, and you knew it. You know, there was no handshaking. There was no, hey, see you after the game kind of stuff. It's like, I don't like you. That's what we need, because sports is that last thing that is must-see TV. And if you want me to say, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Finish up.
No, I was just saying, to get me to tune in to, you know, the NBA, it's 82 games. It's long. And if I know, hey, Ja Morant's playing at Golden State, okay, click them. I will watch that. It's tune in for all that extra stuff. You know, basketball, football, whatever be there. I want to see something with some spice.
Yeah.
Football-wise, in the NFL, I'm trying to think of, like, what teams actually hate each other, like the players and stuff. And it's hard because football can become so corporate. I have trouble thinking about it. But then I remember something, one of my favorite images of the entire playoffs last year, and it came from an unsuspecting place, but they told kind of what happened before. Titans-Ravens has a really cool rivalry, and you wouldn't expect it. But when you look back at it, at the end of the playoff game, Lamar's first playoff win against the Titans in Tennessee, I think they picked off Tannehill at the end of the game to win them the game. And the entire defense got on the middle of the field and gritted as a team on the Titans logo. And I think they got, like, you know, flags or whatever for it. But I was like, what? Yo, you don't see that. Like, a team just go to the sideline. I was like, what was that? And then they showed that the Titans had done that last time they were in Baltimore, that they had celebrated on them. And then, like, the Titans players were pissed. Like, everything was going on. I was like, yup, like, that's what I want to see. Because, dude, like, when you get that emotion, you could feel that coming through instead of, you know, you lose, you shake hands, you go, you know, next game's on, you know, Fox at 8. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
we're on to Cincinnati, to quote Bill Belichick.
We're on to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's nice too. They got a lot of heat. Cincinnati's been good at being about that. They got some, because of Joe and Jamar and those guys. They got some dog in them. They don't care who they go up against.
Well,
I
ain't got nothing for Cincinnati. Pump their brakes, Cincinnati. Pump your brakes.
I knew that was coming. Yeah.
Well, look, because
I don't know Terry's Cincinnati background. Maybe you have to fill me in.
Oh boy.
Are we all friends here? Part of my Cincinnati background. Matt's wife.
Hey,
Matt's wife is from Cincinnati. But anyway, here's the reason I'm against Cincinnati is I've been a Jerry Rice fan since forever. Right? They played in Super Bowl 23. Jerry Rice had 11 catches, 215 yards, and a
Here
touchdown.
we go. Here we go.
But leading up to that Super Bowl, I was the only 49ers fan in my school. Like Cincinnati was local, and everybody was in my face about Bengals. It was the Icky Shuffle, and it was cool. And I was like, hey, Jerry Rice pretty good. You don't know nothing, little Terry Brown. I'm paraphrasing. And then let me tell you something. That Monday after the Super Bowl, after the 49ers beat the Bengals, to quote Lil Nas X, can't nobody tell me nothing. I was a bad boy that next day. So I've been against Cincinnati just on general principle. So,
I figured it went back to that, but that's funnier. That's funnier.
Oh, I was in math. Terry, do you know what 2 + 2? Well, you see, a 2 you get a 3, Super Bowl 23. Jerry Rice had 215 yards. It was the MVP last night's game. I said, you do the numbers like this here. So yes, that is my Cincinnati. That's my Cincinnati thing.
Yeah.
To go back to
the Niners. Yep.
To go back to Titans and Ravens, though, for as short of a time as both of those franchises have been in those cities, because Baltimore's only been there since like '95. Titans, a couple of years after that, coming to Nashville as the Tennessee Oilers and whatever. That rivalry has been like that for a while. I mean, Ray Lewis used to go up against Steve McNair and Eddie George in the playoffs, and it was hard fought, leave everything on the field every time they played. So it's already got some historical spice to it. I mean, it's not Bears Packers as far as longevity, but for such a short 20-year span, they do hate each other, and it's been like that since they both been where they are. For real.
And Baltimore stole Steve McNair after Tennessee thought they could let him go, and then he went over to Baltimore, was doing some things, and you got that all across there. And
one of them Dyson dudes play for both teams, and Kevin Dyson go from one to the other too, or something like that. I don't know.
I think so. But
yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Man, where are you at on these playoffs, these conference finals, the whole playoffs as a whole? Your thoughts going into it? Has it been like you thought it would be? Where you at, man? And what kind of analytics you got to try to get us off of our points, to get us off of Thomas and all that? I know what you got something up your sleeve.
You ready to admit Steph's above or what? You about ready for it? You about ready to step it too? Hey Terry, coming for one? You ready for it?
Yeah. Oh no, he ain't coming for one. No. Magic at point guard one. No, man, no. That Magic 9 finals in 11 healthy seasons. No. But the conversation can be had between Steph and Isaiah, because you got two. You could have.
I was going to say, if the conversation is that he's above Isaiah, it can be had. That's the conversation being had. I don't know what we're talking about. Go ahead.
No, I just, and it's probably my old foginess. I have a difficult time putting Steph in the traditional point guard role, because I'm locked into that. But I will say this. When you take a step back and say, okay, I want my point guard to make plays, Steph is definitely at the top of that list, because his actions open up so much other stuff for everybody else. I will give Steph that.
Well, let me ask this though. If we're talking about the OG point guard, I mean, if you're saying that it's more of a new age thing, the Oscar Robinson was what? Like there are some point guards where if they have that package, that they can lead teams and be superstar scorers, and they don't have to be pigeonholed into being Bob Cousy or like somebody.
Well, yeah. That's what Isaiah did though. Isaiah led teams, he facilitated, and he also took over. That's what I'm just saying. Don't be stomping on Isaiah like it sounds like you do.
I'm not. I told y'all a long time ago. Isaiah was top 3. He's just 3. That's all.
I think that's a conversation to have, because what Steph is doing with this incarnation of the Warriors is amazing. He's not the same Steph. The range isn't quite there. He's not quite as explosive, but getting it done. If they seal the deal this year, it's going to be hard to keep him out of that number 2 spot, just because his body of work is going to necessitate that. But number 1, that's a wrap, man.
And
He said, all he said, like Jay-Z, or like Nas said to Jay-Z, he said, "Burner at the side of your dome, come out of my throne." That's what he's about to say to Magic if he keeps this little roll on for about 5 more years. But I'm going to sit back. I love Magic. I have Magic. I already told you on Twitter, I said fifth all time. And you said that was a, not point guard, 5th best player of all time. You said that was acceptable as a placement for Magic Johnson.
The thing about Magic, as good as he is, and as much, because all the basketball debates pretty much, the only thing people agree on consensus, Magic is point guard 1. Like that is, the conversation starts after Magic when it comes to point guards.
Yeah, I agree, and I hate the Lakers, and I don't even really care for Magic, and I still give him number 1.
He's really whenever they. Especially with when people back when I was a little younger and they said, "Oh, he's more Magic than he is Jordan." And it's like, okay, like
that's not a slur.
That sounds like a slander. But Magic Johnson went to 9 finals. Jordan went to 6, and he won 5 titles, 5 for Magic,
5.
And Jordan won 6. So it's kind of like, I mean, Magic was able to win being a point guard and a center in Game 7 to beat the Sixers. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing to Magic? Like, anyways. About this playoffs, though, I think it does show how great Steph is, though. He's kind of reached that another level. Like, when NBA players reach that, I've already been around the block twice. Like, I know what all this is. Y'all are just, Luka's a young pup. Ja's a young pup. Jokic is good, but that team's garbage without him. It was Steph's reached this mode kind of like 2018 LeBron in the terms of, I might not be, 27 anymore, but I am so much smarter and my confidence is never wavering. He's got it up here because that Warriors team's not very good. Let's be honest. And it could be the best team left. I mean, I think Boston still has just a slightly on their best nights are probably the best team left, but the Warriors overall seem like the best team left. And I'm sorry, they're not very good. Like from when you see it, they're good, but not like 17 Warriors, 14 Spurs, 12 Heat good. That era of teams.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And the thing that Steph can do with the championship this year is he will get an era in the NBA. Like we will talk about the Steph era, like we talk about that MJ era, the Bird Magic. Like, we put labels on these eras. Like he will get the Steph era, like as far as a game changer and an innovator, whatever you want to throw on there, he gets that. Now, how that translates to your list of players, I don't know. But as good as Barkley was, that was the MJ era. As good as those Dr. J's Sixers or the Bucks of the 80s or whatever, it's still just Bird and Magic, right? Like that's who our mind goes to. And Steph is going to get that, late 2010s to the 2020, like that's going to be the Steph era. And that to me is
don't count our boy out yet. Don't count our boy out yet, because if Braun can work some magic and he gets one more on that, very back end, then Steph is just a thorn in the side of the LeBron dynasty if he's able to do that.
Now that's true. Like LeBron has his own thing, right? LeBron is got his era, right? That kind of, and it hurts me to say that I'm saying this. I don't know if I would say Kobe had a quote unquote era, right? I will say that. Like he did not have a 4 or 5 year stretch where he was the best player in the league.
No,
and I'm a Kobe.
Oh yeah, and I'm not a Kobe guy, or I wasn't. You know what I mean? I've settled down on all that. Tragedy kind of brings that to a head. Plus his number, I actually looked more into Kobe as years went on and was like, all right, like he needs to be given due more than anything. At least the one thing you can say about Kobe is from 2000 to 2010, like in that decade, he went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finals. Like that's pretty impressive. He was the only player to play in all 7 of those finals. Right.
I agree with that.
But
I'm
I do understand
guy.
what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. It's weird. Almost nobody had an era post Jordan and pre like LeBron, like rising to that top. Like Shaq had his run. Duncan had his run. Kobe was the face of it, but it's almost like it was shared than it would being just like one, the one guy.
Right. And that's, I think, and I listen to Bomani Jones, love Bomani Jones. He was just talking about, when Kobe passed, how Kobe fans latched on because he was never de facto that dude for a long stretch. It was always, okay, that was Shaq's team. And then, as he's winning those 2 titles at the tail end, that's when we see LeBron kind of, take the
back-to-back
Cavaliers.
MVP.
Yeah, and take the Cavaliers, that bunch in 07, and then Kobe wins 09 and 10, and then the Heat become a thing, right after that. So, Kobe's in that weird place where he's, I've got him high on my list, but I'm a homer. But he just never really defined the league. Now, players love him, right? Like players,
yes,
he's probably one of the more beloved that dudes. But I just don't know if he had a specific era. And we're talking all kinds of stuff. And I love it. Love having you come on and talk about that. This is great stuff.
Every time. But these Warriors, they didn't close it out last night, assuming they, chances they could have a gentleman sweep, here going back to San Francisco. Ended in 5. Luka isn't ready. And then you got Miami and Boston beating the crap out of each other. Somebody's getting hurt every game. Jimmy Butler's knee, Tyler Hero's groin, Jason Tatum was holding his shoulder the other day. Whoever comes out of that series is going to be limping into the finals against a not great Warriors team, but a fresh, rested, experienced Warriors team that's been there. It's setting up nicely for the Warriors as long as they don't fool around and give the Mavericks life.
Yeah, no, I thought it was the most disrespectful thing I've seen a coach do in a playoffs was he literally, like Steve Kerr literally gave so little craps about winning that game in Dallas that he let 2 teenagers and Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, who are both 19 years old, get significant run in the first half of a closeout playoff game in the Western Conference Finals simply for the credence of, I'd like you to get some playing time. Just get a little bit of run, young guns, because that's how disrespectful. And they almost came back and won.
Yeah.
That's how, Luka is obviously ready. That dude's putting up 35, 40, but that team is just, jogging around these bases on this Mavs team. I truly think that in the Eastern Conference Finals, can we please get a good game tonight? Can we get one? Every game's been a blowout in one form, even if it's like a close game at the end. It was a blowout in the first half and a blowout in the second half, and it's just what happened to the competitive games this round? They disappeared.
This Jekyll and Hyde Boston Miami series, I don't even know. It's literally a brand new game, a brand new series every game out. I don't get it. Like the Heat starters the other night, what is going on? And I love Bam. Bam's my dude, but Bam, you can't be 31-9 and then you can't ghost.
Houdini, yeah.
That's the strangest thing. And plus the Heat, they started a couple dudes I ain't never heard of before. And I know I'm an old person, but that's generally not a great sign. Who are these dudes?
Matt Strus.
I'd never heard about that. I ain't heard about that dude since the playoffs. A what? And a couple other people to get run. I'm like, okay. If I know more of your bench players than your starters, that ain't great. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'll say this. I don't know who's going to win that series at the moment because, like you said, it's weird. It's a different series. Like you said, every game it matters on who's healthy, who's officiating. It's been, but for it to be 2-2, at least from an entertainment perspective, at least we can have hope since it's a best of 3 now. I hope Boston wins because I think that Boston Golden State would be the most competitive series because I'm afraid that if Miami wins, the Warriors are just, there's no way Miami has the scoring to keep up with the Warriors, and they're great defensively, they're physical and all that, but I don't think Miami stands a snowball's chance in hell if they face Golden State. But I do think that Boston Golden State could be a 7-game classic because of how even and talented the two teams are.
the thing about Miami is, and Vinny, you know I've said this before, can Jimmy Butler be that dude on a championship team? And what I mean by that is, can Jimmy Butler get you 40 points? Yes. Can Jimmy Butler get you 40 points in 5 games? You know, that's that rarefied air where I think we need to appreciate LeBron a little bit more, and being that dude and having to do that every single night. There's a burden to that, right? Like that's, my whole thing is, when you got the Hall of Fame, you got people that get in the Hall of Fame. But then once you get in there, there's the head table, right? Like I would say in the Football Hall of Fame, there's a quarterback table, and it's only Joe Montana and Tom Brady at that booth, right? Yeah, I'm holding on to Joe because he didn't throw an interception in the Super Bowl. But
I mean, I'm fine with Joe being in there, but and look, you can say whatever you want about Aaron Rodgers, but Peyton Manning better be at that table too. Come on now. Come on.
We'll see. But my point is, like, yeah. I know. But
continue. I will. That is your quarterback table, so go ahead.
Right, but the thing about the Heat is, can Jimmy Butler get you not even 40, but can he get you 30 in 3 straight games? And I don't think he's that dude. And to me, if you're going to win an NBA championship, you've got to have somebody that can get you 30 in like 3 straight games. That you just know, okay, it's the playoffs. This dude can get us 30. Because I know you love analytics, and I think they're very helpful tools. But at some point, especially with basketball, you got a dude that can get a bucket. Everything is falling apart. Like Giannis last year, like that game 6 was just, do you have somebody you can give him the ball and he can go get it for you? And the Heat don't have that guy. I don't think Jimmy's that guy right now.
I like to think of myself just as much as roll the ball out and play as much as analytics. Sometimes I just try to bring up things to back up points, and then other times I'm just like watch the games, because I agree with you in this. Jimmy Butler's that dude, but like you said, not every game. Like if it was Game 7, I'd put my money, even though I think Jason Tatum is like whatever better than Jimmy Butler in terms of like talent, scoring ability, all that. I would put my money on Jimmy Butler being the baller of that Game 7 over Tatum, because I've seen that dude back against the wall, put on like that Lakers performance, that legendary 40 triple-double that he had in the bubble. Like, I trust that dude. The guy that needs to step up for them is Tyler Hero, because that's the guy that needs to be the dude that gets those 30s every game, because it's not that he's as good as Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum or some of these other guys, but when it comes to being a scorer, like, I'd say if you take away all the other things that made Jordan great, like you can at least count on to go out and get bucket after bucket after bucket. I can't think, or like young Kobe, where it's like young Kobe, like Shaq's the dude. But like when it comes to like making sure we get points in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter, like consistently, like you need to come out and then when the last 2 minutes, get open, like get yourself open, make a shot. Like he needs to be young Kobe in this playoff run if they had any chance of wanting to win. And he's been good. He's had his moments, but he's not doing it as much as he needs to do it. And he's in his 3rd year. Like it's about time for him to start kind of, raising that play up.
Yeah. Vinny is a Rockets fan, so we'll have to explain to him how the NBA Finals work.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, the guy that's next, Jalen Green. My goodness, you got a good one in Jalen Green, Vinny. At least he's going to be crying about 5 years once LeBron goes on and Anthony Davis is, in a full body cast. Like you're going to have the last laugh here in about 5, Vinny.
It's a nice piece for sure, and we'll see. We're picking early in the draft again, so we'll see what we add to that.
Who do you want? Do you have anybody in mind yet? You want Shaden?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, why not? I don't know what I think about Paolo Banchero though, for sure. And that's what I keep hearing that he's going to go. I don't know about that one.
I can see Jabari. Pretty much that anything. Well, I've gotten in the weeds a little bit about the NBA draft, but we'll leave that for a different time. I think the Houston's sitting pretty at 3 though. You are right. And then The Lakers pick at 8, going to New Orleans. That's rough. But hey, you got AD out of it. You got a title. So I mean,
it was so much fun though seeing the Pelicans get the Lakers Nation triggered when they said our friends, the Lakers gonna be in the lottery tonight, even though they disregarded that title, that the trade that led to the title. That shade that they threw, even though they're oblivious to the Lakers just winning the title. Oh, our friends, the Lakers, are in the lottery. And the TB and the Laker Nation was just ready to fight.
Man, look, yes, look. And this has been a debate all season. Who won the trade? I'm like, Lakers won a title. Like, that's the de facto, like, that's asking who won the trade for Kareem, the Lakers or the Bucks. Like, what are we doing here? And I get it. Pelicans, have your fun on social media. That's great. Enjoy whatever it is you're about. I don't even know.
I wish there was an older head on the show that could have been like, now, Terry, you comparing AD to Kareem. That's where I'm going to have to stop you. I wish there was someone just to be here for that.
And I'm not, all I'm saying is the Lakers are about the business. It's a different mindset. So, yes, the Pelicans had their fun, but Lakers will be back, man. Angelo, let's tell my man Vinny, I'm 44. I've seen just as many presidential elections as I've seen Lakers titles in that span. So,
golly,
Lakers fan, trust me, I've got Lakers fans in my life. I've got Dodgers fans. I've got Yankees fans. Now I got Cowboys fans because of you, Vinny. Trust me. All I have to do is sit at the top of Titletown and look down at all the rigmarole that everybody else does.
That name Titletown. That's a little sketch anyway. I know you want
most championships of all NFL history, baby. I mean, come on. Got to give it up to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yes, the most championships. Yes. And you gotta include them because you can't just the Super Bowl talk, that Titletown is sketchy when y'all just trying to steal that. Titletown.
We count World Series back when it was just one game. So, I mean, come on.
I'm not about discounting all that. So, but at least we can say between the Cowboys, Niners, and Packers, I look down my nose at all these other new money franchises like the Seahawks. Get out of my face. Rams, get out of my face.
You're right.
Bengals, get out of my face.
Bengals, just another drive-by of the Bengals. Like, the clip was empty. How did you get one more left for Cincinnati?
Well, because I got Bengals fans telling me, well, Joe Cool, which he ain't Joe Cool.
Oh, he is. He's a bad man, Terry Brown.
Joe Cool. Ooh, Joseph Montana. Ooh. Anyway, well, they're like, well, he made the Super Bowl. I said, Jimmy G made the Super Bowl.
Terry, you're
Jimmy G made the Super Bowl.
You're allowed to hate. You're allowed to hate. I'm not going to take your haterade away from you, but you better watch out over my boy. I'm telling you, Joe Burrow's going to have that. You know what? One day he's going to have a Super Bowl over the Niners, and he's going to shake your hand at some meet and greet, and you're going to smile and say, "Nice to meet you, Joe Burrow." And he's going to go, "Hey," he's going to pull up Cat Talk Wednesday. He's going to pull up this could be like, "You said that?" And you're going to look at him like this, and he's going to be like, "Thank you." And then he's just going to walk off there. I'm telling you, he is cold-blooded. He's cold-blooded.
All right.
Man, we have enjoyed you. Oh, hey, real quick, because I know you're all over. What do you think about the first team, the NBA first team? Did you care? I mean, Booker, Doncic, Tatum, Giannis, Jokic. Would you?
I thought that it was pretty solid. I think injuries kind of hurt it a little bit just because so many guys had missed games. Like, if you look at Kevin Durant, LeBron James, like where they had missed so many games, it's kind of like, would you rather have LeBron for 56 games or Devin Booker for 78? And it's like, well, probably Booker for 78 because you're getting all those extra games. But if only had 58 games between the two, it's LeBron every time. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what makes it hard, So I like Giannis on it. I like Jokic on it. I like it was Tatum. Who was it was Luka. I thought Luka deserved to be on it. Booker, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be Booker, rah rah rah, because the Kentucky thing, but he's a tier below to me in this playoffs. I know to hurt his hamstring and everything, so back in round one, but I mean, I thought that was fine. The rest of the teams, like Durant made team 2, Ja made second team. Which if Ja didn't hit a hurt at the end of the year, he would have been on first team over Book. So I thought everything looked good when I first went over it. I didn't say how could you leave off that guy, but
you had Tatum saying Embiid should have been on the first team. Is he?
Everybody thinks that. Here's the thing. I love Embiid. Embiid should have been in the front court. Everybody hates Jokic, man. Like your boy Jalen Green was the only person that I heard be on a podcast being like, "Yo, Jokic is cold." Like nobody else, no player is like, "Yo, did y'all catch Jokic tonight?" It's just kind of one of those things where he just doesn't connect with the rest of the NBA, but Embiid does. So Embiid gets those flowers from other players and stuff, and just Jokic doesn't. He just doesn't.
And look, we talk about Bomani Jones, Jokic, which I like seeing the dude play. I wish Murray had been there for the full season, and perhaps he would have been able to stay longer in the playoffs because he was by himself as far as star power this year. But him being from overseas, that whole toughness now, they're not the quote unquote soft like they used to be. I know you heard Bruce Bowen TV talking about Sarunas Marciulionis, and you might have to Google him, Angelo, but Mitch Richmond was trying to tell Tim Hardaway, "Hey, won't you go?" This is in practice. Hey, Tim Hardaway Senior, Angelo.
Okay, not the Dallas Tim Hardaway. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm so young.
When we become old here? But go ahead, Vinny. That's you just said.
He's like, "Hey, you wanna get Marciulionis?" And Hardaway was like, "Nah, man, I'm good over here just guarding this other player that's not Sarunas Marciulionis." But yeah, that dude was cold back in the 90s when European dudes were supposed to be soft, and he was.
They're not soft anymore. Man,
he wasn't
come over angry.
But you give him Mitch Richmond buckets, who Michael Jordan says one of the toughest dudes to ever defend him. Mitch Richmond and Joe Dumars is on MJ's short list, and Marciulionis is eating Mitch Richmond alive in practice. So that story I was like, man, that's something else.
You just don't see it with Jokic for some reason, but it's all good. It's all good. I Jokic is awesome. I think I would have, if it was up to me, you got rid of positions, I would have had Luka, Kevin Durant, Embiid, Jokic, Giannis. If you could get rid of all, I thought they were the 5 best players this year. And then LeBron, when he played, it was just tough because the record and Russ and everything. It was street clothes. Not being out there. It's just it was rough. Man, did y'all see that thread on Twitter of Charles Barkley and all the funny moments that he had the other day on Twitter?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Charles, and the thing that the young kids, like Charles was that dude. Like I talked about, being overshadowed by MJ, but who wasn't? But Barkley was a great player. And it was, Vinny and I talked about when we realized he was only 6'4", because I want to say he was listed at 6'8", like early on. And that's what we thought because the dude was getting 20 and 10 until him and Jordan were side by side in 93 finals. And it's like, that dude is way shorter than Michael Jordan. And for him to have the career he did at that size is still mind-blowing to me. But since he retired, that dude, and some of what he says is trash, but Charles loves to talk, and it's absolutely great. That thread brought me great joy because Charles is like, what are they going to do to me? And if you have that mindset, you can free up and do your thing.
Mm-hmm. I was watching an interview. He was on Dan Patrick a few years ago, and he's answering everything honestly. Patrick asked him, "Are you better than Bird?" Or who's better, you or Bird? And he was like, "Well, I'm a better defender. I'm a better rebounder. He's a better shooter." And then he was asking him, straight up stuff. A lot of guys with egos would maybe not answer honestly, and Patrick asked him, "Are you better than LeBron?" "Oh, no. Oh, no." And he immediately, "No, I'm not." So, and everybody's got the ego and knows where they are. But he said that Chuck Daly at the Dream Team practice said that Chuck Daly told Chuck Barkley, all this Chuck in here, "You're the second best player I've ever seen behind Jordan." And he said that was the greatest compliment that he ever gotten. And this is Bad Boys Chuck Daly telling Charles Barkley this at Barcelona. So it was just cool hearing him talk about it. I gotta check out that thread y'all talking about too.
That's all. Oh, Vinny, you got to check it out. I mean, they got so many videos of stuff he said. There was some stuff I've never seen, and I've gone down that rabbit hole one or two times. Like it's good, man. The way that Chris Webber, when somebody laughs too hard, and you're kind of like, why'd you do that? That was a little too much, man. When Chris Webber laughed at the stove joke for the why don't you buy women a watch for Valentine's Day? Man, Chris Webber, he literally guttural laughs, bangs on the desk, get off his seat, and I'm like, all right, Chris, calm down.
I don't know how Ernie Johnson does it. There will be chaos all around him, and he's like one of those reporters in a storm. He's got his bow tie, he's good to go. But Charles he's great.
There's been there's always that movie classification of being the straight white man, the one serious down the middle, and I don't know if there's been an actor that's ever played it as well as Ernie Johnson on those sets sometimes.
Oh, man, not at all. He's the dude. He's the dude when it comes to that.
Hey, give us your thoughts on Kentucky football and basketball heading into the upcoming seasons, where you think they're going to be, how you think it's going to play out. Football and then basketball this coming fall and winter.
I'll start off with football because I got to be, I went to the pro day. I went to the spring practice, interviews, went to the spring practice and everything. It's going to be, I think it's going to be another good season. I think at Kentucky, it's becoming you're not reloading like an Alabama or an Ohio State or back in the day, a USC or Texas or something like that, but you are rolling it over, it's like a road grader. Some things can stop it, like Georgia can stop a road grader pretty easily, but this Kentucky machine doesn't stop. They got the new receiver from Virginia Tech, Robinson. I thought he impressed at the spring game. Dane Key's been getting rave reviews from everybody. To the point where I think it's real. That guy might start as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And, blessing to get to watch him at Frederick Douglass all these years, along with DeKel and Jagger, who's over there. Ty Bryant will be there soon, all those guys. I think that the offense, with the offensive line turnover that they had, I think they're going to be able to fill that. DeAndre Buford is going to be the guy that's going to really have to hold up on that left side, but it seems like that people believe in him. That defensive line, that defensive line, ideally it should be as good as it's ever been, at least talent-wise. When you look at across from Octavius Oxendine, who did his best Josh Paschal impression last year before he went down with his injury, it's time for Justin Rogers to step up. He said it when he was coming here for 3 and out. This third year better be phenomenal. If you really want to 3 and out to the NFL. And then you got JJ Weaver, pass rushing, all that. The Vito Tisdale thing was that was a hit. I think that's underrated hit because that guy, I think he's overly aggressive sometimes. I think it's almost wired in him. He's going
blows up everything moving.
Oh yeah, he's like Jamal Adams type of he's a little crazy when he's out on the field, but you need that because he's intimidating. And defenses need to be intimidating, and that's what he brought. So I'll say this. That's all well and cool, but all eyes are going to be on Will Levis once again. I dropped my first 2023 mock draft because, been working on the NFL Draft Blitz, NFLDraftBlitz.com, been working on that. I put out my mock draft. I had Will Levis going second. And this guy, he's got it. I went to the pro day, and I was watching all the drills, all the 40s, all that, and Will Levis was warming up. And I was, catching my eye. And I literally moved away from the pro day to watch him warm up because I was like, oh, people don't throw like this. And then when he went into to where Terry Wilson would take about 3 or 4 throws, and he'd take a break for a second, they let Levis, which Kentucky doesn't let juniors, underclassmen come in. Unless you've declared for the draft, they don't let them come in and be a part of it. It's only the guys that are in the current draft. But Will got to come in and throw some balls, threw about 8 to 10, footballs. And the scouts there, would just, look over at each other and just give them that eyebrow smile, this is, who's this guy type of thing. So, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Kentucky this year from a draft perspective because of Levis. But if this dude takes a step up, and I have my reservations about Scangarello. I want him to see it, prove it to me. I'm not going to put him down before he has a chance to show it, but I am skeptical. But if he can bring the best out of Levis like Liam Cohen did, man, we might not have seen a quarterback like this since I love Steven Johnson. I love Andre, so I'll say since Andre, but you know what I mean? If we're talking about that like top of the top, it's like that, Tim Couch type stuff.
Absolutely. And Coach Scan, again, he got Jimmy G to NFC Championship game. So, and I don't mean that to insult people.
I'm just saying, if he can do that with Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, like Will Levis is going to be what? Joe Montana mixed with Steve Young, mixed with Aaron Rodgers, mixed with Tom Brady. Like, where are we going to get with that? Goodness.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not rubbing salt. I'm just saying that was the quarterback he had to work with, and look what the team was able to do. So I'm excited about football.
That's fair. That's true. I guess you know what, secretly, and this is not probably fair, and I'll admit if I'm not being fair, and I think I am right now, I just give Kyle the credit for that. Like Scangarella, I'm kind of like, that's Shanahan. Is what I say that for. But that's nothing. I'm not throwing any shade. I'm just saying like he was there before, and I thought Shanahan was. I think he's the guy. He's obviously been one of the best coaches in football the last 5 years.
Yeah, he schemes dudes open. That's the thing, is he figures out, okay, this is what we got. This is what we're going to do. I love Shanahan, so
yeah,
we don't need to turn this into a 49er show.
No. Go Niners. But the UK basketball team, it's interesting. By the way, just the way that Will Levis, like I've got to watch some Shaden Sharp, and it's gonna be disappointing for Kentucky fans. But he on the early returns of like everything I've seen and heard about him. I mean, they're making the guy seem like he's Derrick Rose, but 3 inches taller, 6 inches longer with a jump shot. You know what I mean? Like that's how good Shaden Sharp seems, man. Like I'm getting pretty excited about Sharp in the draft, which is just going to make Kentucky fans irate whenever he like blows up. I'd love to see him on this team.
Let it go.
I try. I'm happy for Shaden. Trust me. I'm glad to see him in the league next year. But I know some people have not been as kind to that about it. But here's the thing about the Cats this year. They're going to be very good. I think anybody that doesn't say that, I think it's disingenuous to say that they wouldn't be, because they're essentially bringing back the entire team, but a guy that was a better, or I would say a higher ranked recruit than Ty Washington filling in for that spot. And then you're getting Livingston to come in, and obviously Brooks is probably gone. He's probably out, but Livingston's like tall. I think Toppin is going to be able to fill with Brooks. Honestly, I was shocked that Brooks didn't have the year that I thought he was going to last year. I thought Brooks was SEC Player of the Year potential. And athletically, he has everything. Like when you watch him play, it's like, oh, that guy's like a dude, like a legit dude. And it just never clicked, like essentially the entire season.
Just up and down.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird, but Sheboy got the lion's share of the touches, and he should. I had gone on my radio show last fall, back when I did it on 96.1, and we had a segment where I would just be able to pontificate about the things that had gotten in my craw. And one of them was where ESPN had ranked Sheboy in like the top 15 in the country, and I was like with Ty and Severe and Grady and all these guys, I was like, Sheboy's going to be your top guy. He's like a 10-10 guy, but he's not going to blah 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 talking out of the side of my face when he was. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, I can't remember the last UK player. I don't know if I can remember the last national player that dominated like he did in his matchups. He was phenomenal. You get him back. You slide Toppin in at the 4, most likely, probably. Is that what we're probably leaning with? May stretch out the floor. I would say that Cason Wallace likely starts, just because of the Cal doesn't usually ever sit like a top 5 recruit. I would say him. Small forward, you're either putting in Livingston or I think C.J. Frederick to play the Kellen Grady role. Like I could see that, and then Wheeler at point guard, and you're going to have good depth behind it. Ware coming back. You got, like I said, Livingston or Frederick coming off the bench, however it may be. I'm going to be honest with you, though. My favorite player to watch last year was Severe Wheeler. But after watching a full season of Severe Wheeler, I don't see how you win a national title with him at point guard. So I struggle to find, like, without having him. And we got that one kid coming in. I forgot his name. Antonio coming in.
Reeves.
Reeves coming in as a transfer. So that's going to help. I just I think they're going to be very good. I don't think they're going to get bounced in the first round like they did last year, but I don't see a national title team from this one. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe just an extra season with these guys being around, and that's what it is. It's the continuity. It is the age. It is the, Frederick's going to be in his fourth year in college after spending 2 at Iowa and 1 on the bench. Like maybe it doesn't matter that last year's team's coming back just a little worse. It's that you get a year older, you're stronger, you're better, you're smarter, and then you got all these other kids that have to flip over their program, like a Belmont or like one of these, like a Colorado State. They've got to flip it over. Tennessee's got to flip it over after losing their guys and doing all this. And Kentucky's like, oh, it's cool. We're just gonna run the same thing back, and we're gonna beat all y'all's. So we'll see. I could be wrong. We'll see.
I gotta ask you real quick before I let you go too. Going back to Levis, because you roll deep in the draft, you do your mock drafts and all that. I'm just kind of casual, see where the Cats are going, see what my Cowboys are doing, and then see where all the notable players go, as you know. But I said a long time ago, maybe at the end of the football season, I said Levis could, if he had entered this draft, which didn't have a lot of quarterbacks, wasn't really strong. What Pickett was your best quarterback of this bunch from Pitt. I said that Levis, after what he did last year in Kentucky, could go into the NFL and be Taysom Hill with a better arm already. Because he's big and strong, he's run, he's physical, he's all this. We've seen Hill do that in spots for New Orleans, and he just played 1 full season of college ball, and now he has a chance to just really, really take off. Because don't let stuff slow down for him this year. He's going to have another season of college where he can really, if it slows down and he can do better than what he did last year. A couple of little picks that he won't throw that he threw last year just because he played and has more experience. I was saying he could be Taysom. He can already do that. And now he gets another year from another NFL dude, and he can just polish all this kind of stuff. But that was just my comparison, because I'm like, man, Levis can do what Taysom's doing for the Saints right now. That was just,
Yeah, I was a little upset about the Taysom Hill comparison when I saw it, just because I was like, Taysom Hill can't see the bottom of Will Levis's cleats. I was upset about it just from that perspective. We're talking about Will Levis as like a prospect. Like, I think if Will Levis, when everything was uncovered, if Will Levis would have entered the draft this year, I think that he would have gone first out of all the quarterbacks.
That's what
I don't think it would have been an argument. I do think the Malik Willis drop was a little weird, because they have kind of like that similar skill sets, like super strong arm, mobile, little raw, those types of things. But Levis would have won everybody over because of the athletic profile, because of what people underestimate with Will Levis is that he was picked by the players to be the starter. Like in those spring practices going into the summer, it was the summer when everything started to rise for him, that he was the 3rd quarterback, I think, on the depth chart at the time. And he skyrocketed because the players were like, this is the dude. And you used to see things back in Cincinnati with Andy Dalton. When Andy Dalton messed up, you would see, I remember there was a game, it was the first game of the year. It was the first drive of the year for the Bengals. Dalton overthrew a receiver over the middle, and the receiver went like this and threw down his hands. I was like, season over. I was like, it is DOA from there, because they don't respect that man back there. And I mean, like, Dalton's a nice guy, but nice guys are, like, you got to have dog to you. That's why Brady's so beloved. Like, Brady got dog to him. Peyton had dog to him. Aaron Rodgers got dog to him. Will Levis got some dog to him. And the team, you could see, would rally around him. Even when he would, like, fumble and then run for the first down and get up, all the dudes slapping on his helmet. Like, you are that dude. You need an alpha like that at that quarterback position. So, yeah, I definitely think he could have came in the NFL. He reminds me a lot of he's a little shorter, but of Josh Allen out in Buffalo is the guy that he really reminds me of.
That's who our man Van Hiles always is making a reference to when I've been on stuff talking to him about Levis, is Josh Allen in Buffalo. same kind of not quite as big, but very similar in style. And if we can get a little bit of that in Lexington, those 10 wins might be heading back their way.
Ooh, if he gets that intermediate range down, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It is over. Like for these teams, like except for like Georgia and whatever other big dog on the schedule, they ain't gonna be able to handle them.
Yep.
There you go.
Plug everything, man. Where can everybody hear you? What shows you on? Tell us about
So
all
you
the
can
stuff you're doing, man.
you can get me at Angelo Media Lex. That's ANGELO Media LEX, all one word. Catch me there. I make spot appearances right now on 1300 AM. 96.1's been we've been mostly syndicating that those programs. So it's TBA on that. We've got NFLDraftBlitz.com. Go to the website. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple, just NFL Draft Blitz, and you'll get off-season draft coverage. We're doing draft grades right now. I broke down my 2023 mock draft. We've been just mainly talking about that one, and then trying to transition into the new year. We'll get to talking about college football and the NFL on that. So that's mostly what I've been doing on that scene. And two other things I wanted to pop in here before I got out. On the low side, I'll say this, man, like what happened in Texas the other day, and then what happened in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, man, from what happened there, and I honestly, I love sports, guys. I love sports. Like, this is like, I think for a long time we always seen so much bad in the world that sports is the one thing that, just as people, we can kind of cling on to as we go through life and get away from it. But when I saw like the GoPro stuff of what happened in Buffalo, man, like it made me rethink like things, because that stuff, I mean, it was just that stuff was just so, I don't know really how to put it into words. I just wanted to mention that it's okay to feel all the feelings from those and try to make something, change in some positive way, because I don't know if we can cuss on here, so I won't, but that's just
it's messed up,
unbelievable in such a horrible way. But on the brighter news, my man Terry Brown over here has been on a fitness dedication over the last couple of years. I respect everything he's done, and I've been doing my own. I about around March, I was at about 245, a lot heavier than I want to be, down to 228 right now. We're going backwards over here, so you know what I mean. We're getting. I saw him do it, and I was like, all right, let's get back on the kick. So Vinny already spelt. We don't got to worry about him. But hey, we're coming for it. We're coming for it.
The important thing to that, like I tell folks that kind of reach out, like, how did you do it? Literally one foot in front of the other. And the day I realized, so my dad, when I was in school at UK, would write me, once every couple of weeks, letters for you youngsters. And sometimes it would be.
What are letters?
Yeah. Sometimes he would have something lengthy, or he would cut something out of a newspaper. Sometimes it was short, but he always ended with two words: be better. Be better. Be a better person today than you were yesterday. The only person you're competing with is the person you were yesterday. And so that's been my mantra, because I got in trouble. I first started running, and if I wasn't getting faster, I was like, man, I'm letting myself down. But no, if you're just out there doing it, you're better than you were by not doing it. So give you all the support there, Angelo. Yeah, it's not easy, but gotta do something.
Are you running? Did you start running like TV or?
Oh yeah. I've been really. It's more or less. My bad thing is about the dedication. A couple of years ago, I actually lost, get this, 75 pounds one time, because I had gotten bad off, and then I crawled out the other side like on a positive. But then in between the years, like stuff like work or life or whatever, gets in your head, gets in the way. So, but one thing I've always tried to do whenever I do recommit is run. I hated it at first. And whenever I have to get back doing it, I kind of hate it again, but you always feel better afterwards. Like usually for a couple hours, you feel better afterwards. You always feel better the next day, and you're going to see results best that way. And that was the very first thing, to be honest with what you were saying, was I remember the first day back in like 2016 when I got back in the gym, I ran like a 3/10 of a mile the first time I went in and a quarter of a mile the next time. So I went backwards the second time, but instead of getting discouraged, I was like, well, the dude that, 3 days ago had 0 miles, 0.0 tenths of a mile. So if you just keep doing this, and then it got to, a quarter mile, then, about, fast forward about 10 months, I did, 3 miles in under 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things where it is just the persistence of your mind that if you let yourself just be you, don't compete with the other dude in the gym that's doing double your place. Don't compete with the girl that's been running for 30 minutes. Don't compete with them because you're not going to win. You can only beat the worst version of yourself. And then once you get better, you can always beat that person.
Yeah. So real funny story real quick. Gotta let you go, Angelo. Thank you so much for staying with us as long as you have.
Thank you for having me on. I love coming on.
But I'm here in Des Moines, and they got the Drake relays that were a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And so we are about 0.7 of a mile from Drake's campus. And that's where I run because it's nice and flat and everything. So I'm running, and I'm like, there's just packs of people, they're doing their workout runs. All these track folks are in stuff. And, there were some young co-eds, and I ain't dead. So I was like, okay, let me try to get into 4th gear. And my body's like, oh, no, you don't have that. And so I was like, all right, let me stay in 3rd gear. And I'm getting past. And one nice young lady said, oh, excuse us, sir. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's hey, man. You still looking 29 to me, my dude. I'm about to turn 30, so I feel your pain. I'm about to turn 30, so I'm right there with you.
Just when I was okay with not having 4th gear, excuse us, sir. I was like,
oh,
sir.
Oh.
You remind me of my dad. Like, oh God, like no.
and so I told my wife, I was like, I'm not that old, and she was like, you could be their dad. And I was like, well, yeah, my oldest, we college searching this summer, so. Yeah. All right. I had to come to that realization. Yeah. I ain't got that 3rd gear anymore. So, but Angelo, thank you so much for joining us, man. Always fun to talk it out and cover all kinds of stuff.
Man, you move work around and reschedule stuff to hop on here with us. We appreciate you, man.
I'm anytime for you all. Like I said, y'all let me know in advance. I make it happen, and nothing more fun to fight about because go Packers, go LeBron. Zon's the best. No, boo Cowboys, Niners, all that stuff, all the good stuff on the way out. Represent, like, let's go.
Getting all the shots in on the way out.
Getting all the shots in. Go Joe Burrow, better than Joe Montana. Let's go. Like, all that stuff. Let's go. Joey B, Ice from Burr. Burr, baby. Let's go.
All right.
Mutus, man. It's been a pleasure. All right, you and those Clay Matthews locks. We gotta get you on out here now, man.
Hey, this is going away soon, so don't worry about it. Yeah. About birthday time when I hit the 3-0, I'm gonna cut it back traditional just to stun on them. Okay, I'm just saying that's what we're gonna do.
All right. Ladies here first, Angelo. Appreciate you, man.
Ladies,
thank you guys.
Look out, ladies in Lexington. All
right. That's right. Thank you. Hey, I'll tell you about that offline. I'll tell you about it.
Oh, there we go. That's Cats Talk After Dark right there. Appreciate it, Angelo.
Angelo Carriero, man, friend of the show, comes on, chops it up with us. It's been a little minute since we had him on, and we hit all the stuff with him. Had to hit the NFL and the NBA and all that good stuff. And you inspired him to run. And look at that, got the young 30-year-old out there running and getting in the groove and dropping LBs and all that, man.
Yeah, it's I've talked about it on here before, and it was just something I started running just simply during when everything was shut down, and I needed something to do. And like Angelo said, the first time I ran, I'm and I look back and I'm like, I can still see where I like that was like a quarter of a mile, and I'm just like, woo! And then you build up, and So I enjoy it now. I enjoy running. I can, I found my sweet spot. I can do about a 9.5 minute mile over a 5K, which is pretty good. So when I go out, I do about 3 miles at a time, give or take. And look, I ain't trying to enter no marathons. I ain't trying to whatever. But yeah, I love it. To me, when I was at UK, that's what I studied was kinesiology and exercise science.
Oh, okay.
So to me, yeah, my dad used to say it was a PE degree, but so to me, the whole thing of breaking down how to run, it's very intriguing to me.
Papa B was savage, boy.
Oh yeah, Dad kept me humble. So my problem is I walk on my feet, and I run upright like Michael Johnson. If you remember Mr. Gold Shoes from way back in the day.
Atlanta for sure, yeah.
So I had to watch a lot of his stuff. How do I run? Right? That was my thing. And it sounds dumb. Like everybody knows how to run. Well, yeah, everybody, you hear something, you run. But okay, what mechanically do I need to do? Like I said, I need to not run on my toes. I do run upright, so I need to really work on my stretching my lower back, hamstring, anything like. So to me, it's like a problem to figure out. And when I start running, I'm like, okay, am I running for speed? Am I running for distance? And I know within the first half mile, okay, this is just a cruise. I'm just going to cruise. I'm just going to whatever. So I enjoy it. My running song I listen to is Outkast Bombs Over Baghdad.
Okay.
It's 5 minutes long. And so I know I hear it twice, that's a mile. I kind of, where I run, I know by the time Big Boy stops rapping and it just kind of does that musical interlude, okay, that's the halfway point. That's a quarter mile. That just helps me where I need to, kind of keep pace and different things like that. So it sounds dumb to listen to the same song 5 or 6 times in a row. But like I said, that's just how I boom, boom, boom. It's a good beat. Bam, bam, bam. It keeps me from going too fast, too slow. But anyway, to round everything out, Angelo was great as always.
Yo.
I don't know what we're going to see out of Boston and Miami. We'll see. The game's back in Miami, so who knows? But to also echo what Angelo said, look, man, we got to do better as a country. I don't want to get into the high weeds. This is not that show. The folks that follow me on Twitter knows I will share my thoughts on different things like that. But we just got to do better because we got to do better. Because I've talked to my girls about that, about different things in the world. And to me, that's one of the toughest things as a parent, explain to your kids how the world works and what's out there. And it just hit me, talk to Little Miss. I can't say Little Miss. I can't say Little Miss anymore because she's full grown now. We're heading to 8th grade now. But talking to my youngest, and she's just so matter of fact about it. And it's like, okay, this is not what this should be. So I'm not going to get into the high weeds. People can follow me on Twitter. I certainly don't shy away from some interactions and that kind of stuff. But we got to do better, just all around. So that's my 2 cents on that. We could spend 3 hours or more talking to it. People smarter than me, more learned than I am, have shared thoughts on it. So there you go.
And we're a sports show on BS3 Network. There are some shows and podcasts that do spirituality and things of that nature, but you are a Bible reader. I'm a Bible reader. 2 Timothy 3:13 says that wicked men and impostors will advance from bad to worse, and we are seeing that. And if you read verses 1-5, it reads like the lead-in of your local news or the headlines in any newspaper, and we are seeing that as well. So, like you said, not going that direction, but
gotta mention it absolutely
on that as well, and definitely want to share our thoughts. Just like, and appreciate Angelo sharing his too, and appreciate you sharing yours. And
yeah, absolutely.
Do this and not say anything at all. And try to maybe be and escape, but don't be like we don't even acknowledge it happening. So we definitely do that.
And like I said, smarter people than me have talked about these things, so I defer to them. When I talk about things around race and gun violence and that kind of thing, look, I'm just a dude. Well, people say, "Oh, TB, you're not." Hey, you're right. I'm just a guy like everybody else, but I'm gonna say what's on my mind. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But yeah, definitely want to. It's hard to segue off of that, but
Yeah,
I'm wearing this White Sox hat.
yes, that's hit that real quick. Hit that Anderson Donaldson, because you part of Cubs Nation and you're wearing White Sox hat, and for Tim Anderson is the reason. So
like a mid-'90s rapper, I've got everything to the side of my White Sox cap here. I love Tim Anderson. I love him, and I'm becoming a Tim Anderson fan. The whole thing, basically, my take on it is baseball has just been inhospitable to Black people, historically and currently. And it's hard to say that it's not intentional. It's not willful. They love to remind you, the baseball folks, Jackie Robinson played here, right? There's Jackie Day, and I'm kind of over that simply because they don't tell the rest of the story. Like, it's all of a sudden Jackie Robinson was the first Black person that could play baseball. Well, no, you've got to tell the whole story. Why? Who's the people that came up with the rules that Black people couldn't play? Who's the people that fought against it? Like, you got to tell the whole story. And so I just, when you and I were coming up in the 80s and 90s, a lot of those Black stars were sons of former players, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr. They had come up in the game. And then there's just that disconnect where, the percentage of Black players now is worse than it was in the 60s. And, Tim Anderson has always been outspoken, explaining his what he sees as a Black player in the game today. And I think that the old Jackie Robinson quote got misused. He did not say he was going to do just like Jackie Robinson. That ain't what he said. It was in the context of, Jackie's out here trying to bring the game to different people, and I'm doing the same. Context absolutely matters. And for Josh Donaldson to use Jackie, he said it wasn't intentional, but I know people listening, I'm making a face here. I don't know. I told the story the other day. Look, my senior year of high school, my English teacher called me Dave. Day one, Dave. Take and roll. Even though she had the sheet in her hand, it was always David. David. Told to I tried to correct her. Like, you got to work to get to Dave from Terry. Parents came in. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Okay. Mama B, Papa B, they don't take no mess. Basically, my mom was like, if I wanted my son to be David, I would have named him David. And okay, I'll do better. And it did. Whatever. I kept it moving. So she invited back a former student of hers that had gone on, I think, Harvard, Yale, some Ivy League school. And keep in mind, I was in the advanced placement classes at Seneca High School, the only Black male in any of my classes, for the most part. And here comes David, Black guy, fade, glasses, like myself. Now, do I think that this teacher was racist? I don't know. I know how I felt after she's been calling me David all year. And I couldn't figure out why. And here comes the last Black male she had in her class from a few years ago, and his name is David.
And she associates you immediately.
Yes. And so I could tell that story, and people say, what's the big deal? Teachers get people's names wrong all the time. Okay. right? But people, what's the big deal? Well, again, context matters. And for you to be calling me David all year just because you had a previous black male student with a low haircut and glasses,
Wow.
yeah, that made me feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tim Anderson explaining to Josh Donaldson in 2019, who called him Jackie then, don't do that. That's not cool. And I heard an interview with Tim Anderson today. He said, because Josh Donaldson thing was, it's an inside joke. Tim Anderson said, and we can all agree, inside jokes are between friends. We are not friends. Therefore, there's no inside joke. So, however Donaldson meant it, that's the way it was perceived, and that's the discussion that we need to have.
Mm-hmm.
So, go Tim Anderson.
Exactly. So, way to round it out and get that in too. This and everything else we talked about, and yeah, that was just crazy. I was kind of in the tail end of it, but yeah, I listened to his interview and get caught up on it. But yeah, Donaldson, he tripped. He know what he's trying to do when he said that.
Yeah, and the Yankees fans chanting Jackie, and then Tim Anderson hitting a home run. Oh man, inject that into my veins.
Yeah,
inject it into my veins. This can snowball into other things, but yeah, baseball has a problem with black athletes, and it's been ongoing forever.
Mm-hmm.
So they love to remind you why they used to be America's pastime.
Right. That's the constant.
Baseball used to be a big deal. I mean, I know, like we talked before, I know your Braves won the World Series last year, but if I've got to rattle off World Series winners, yikes, I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
And that used to be a big deal, not like, Super Bowl winners or different things like that. But baseball is baseball. I love baseball as a sport, but MLB, hit or miss, man. Hit or miss.
I got you. Well, that's another show in the books, man. We hit all the stuff, all cats, everything like you like to tweet out and remind everybody. And it is to the point where it is kind of hard for us to keep up with everything that's doing. There's stuff we sometimes forget. Oh, we didn't mention this from 3 weeks ago. Should have tried to give such and such in this sport, in women's golf, some shine, or such and such.
Yeah.
Tennis sometimes. So we try to do it. We try to cover it all and work in whatever's going on in sports and have fun along the way and bring in some cool guests. Y'all know what we try to do. Been trying to do it for 9 years.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with Kentucky sport.
So y'all that listen on Anchor, Spreaker, Spotify, and all that good stuff, hope you enjoy it. Check it out on Roku, part of BS3 Network. Be on YouTube as well. Hope everybody enjoys it. Cats Talk Wednesday on Facebook and in them Twitter streets. Thanks again to you, TB, as always. Congratulations on these amazing 7-month whirlwind that's been going on. Appreciate you. And thanks also to our guy, Angelo Carriero. It's been another fun show, and we'll be right here next week doing it all again, man.
Yes, sir.
I will hit the outro button. I missed the promo video, but we'll get it in next week. We'll get the outro out because we are heading out. We'll see you right next week. Appreciate y'all.